It's funny because one of the things that people hate when I say on Twitter is that if you really have an issue with this, you can just no index your website and they won't steal your content anymore. And people are like, no, I'm not going to. Of course, you're not going to do that because Google's your daddy and you make all your money off of it and you just want to complain. So I want to ask you too about ChatGPT because ChatGPT just keeps getting better in more ways than one. We were using some AI writing tools and we've completely scrapped them. We're just using ChatGPT as a writing assistant now. All the other writing tools are like, we're not going to waste our money. You guys are nuts. You're all pulling from the same anyways. So something else that I'm constantly looking at because for a while, I'll never forget, I think it was February of a year and a half ago when I was sitting outside by my pool with my wife and I saw people tweeting about ChatGPT when it first came out. I'll never forget, I looked at her and I was like, babe, we might be in trouble. This might be a problem for my business. But then, especially now, the more and more I've understood with it, it is getting better at search because I actually asked it just this past week. I haven't tested this in a while. So I went in and I was like, hey, I got in a car accident. We work with a ton of accident attorneys. Can you recommend me the best accident attorney in Miami? And it gave me 3. And it linked out to their website. It's changing from what it was. But I kept on asking it. I was like, how did you come up with these results? I need to know exactly the criteria that you looked for. And the biggest thing was essentially reviews and reputation, how it was pulling it. It was pulling from Google reviews. It was looking at Avo reviews. It set a criteria for 4.7 stars or above on average. It looked at years in business. It looked at the attorneys that they had on staff. So a lot of kind of similarities from what we hear with Google. So I just wonder, and this is just kind of my hypothesis on where search is going, is that forever we've talked about getting off of a linkless kind of algorithm. I don't think we'll ever fully be off links for a lot of reasons, but I do think that these tools are getting so much better at understanding more human level behaviors for what humans actually want to look at. And I just think that the optimization process ideally will become vertically integrated where people will be using ChatGPT for certain searches. It's going to be on your phone. It's going to be integrated with Siri soon. It's going to be as a part of our hardware. I think that for what we use it for might be a little bit different than Google. In Google still, I agree when you were talking about how certain people want to see the 10 link results. I think commercial-based queries, that's the case. Google knows that. 1, because they're not going to cannibalize their ad business. And 2, you can already see this too. If you look, I just search for best accident attorney, they're not going to give us an AI result there because I don't think they want that level of decision making anyways. I think they want to put that on the user and they also want to sell ad space. I do think that certain pockets of Google will always be protected. And that's also what Google will be best for, better than ChatGPT, because to your point, somebody in the article was like, I don't want AI, I want a search engine, I want to look. For certain things, absolutely not though too. There's a lot of queries, which I think of the large majority of Google queries, Google's probably sitting there, why are you guys fighting us on this? Do you really want people to go to your website for like, is peanut butter healthy? Is this what you guys have come to? Just SEO teams have gotten so big and so bloated. That's where we're competing on these terms that mean nothing to anybody. Just give the people the answer and have them come back. Trust me, guys, if people keep coming back to Google, you're going to get much more value than if we send them to your website anymore. You know what I mean? So my thought is that search is finally going to become much more holistic in terms of across platforms. And I do think a lot of those quote ranking factors will be vertically integrated based on brand, based on reputation, based on review, depending on the industry, but based on those signals that we've kind of hypothesized that they've been in Google for a while. Like, do social signals matter? Do you think that these LLMs will be so intelligent that they'll be able to look at these things and be like, yeah, like we see what's popping on Instagram, Twitter, we see everything. And we're delivering you these results based on all these things. And I do think that SEOs are going to struggle with that because SEOs, again, are very linearly focused and being, we got to do technical. I think all those things will matter, but very small. And compared to people do want to see certain types of things with certain queries. And I do think that it's going to be frustrating for SEOs, but I don't think this industry is going to go anywhere. I just think that we have to rethink. We have to be a little bit better marketers, I think, and holistic thinkers, depending on the industry that we want to optimize for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think a lot needs to change in our space. I mean, that's fundamentally been true for a while, but just the technology gap between what we do as SEOs and what our software allows us to do versus what Google can do. It's been such a disparity, at least for the last 10 years. And also what we're looking at where SEMrush is showing the AI overviews. My question is, 1, how are they doing that? I've yet to see one when I was logged out. And not to say that they can't be scraping logged in because, everyone's doing it for SGE. But again, I've yet to see one logged out. So what are they showing these for? I'd be really curious to know about that.
Yeah, I'm curious too. So for context, people, if you go to semrush.com/censor, this is new here. And you click on it too, and you can see the number of occurrences that the AI overview is happening for. And I don't know. And it's funny because I had this open actually because we have a tool called the traffic projection tool that forecasts organic traffic based on positions, blah, blah, blah. And I actually sent this to my partner. This SGE thing, even if it only takes up 0.01% of searches, could potentially destroy this tool because people are going to be like, oh, what about AI features? You know, it's taking up all the searches. And we actually use SEMrush's API. So I sent this to him to see if we can actually get access to this data. So, I mean, I'll keep you posted. I don't know if we can or not, but I agree. It's very interesting. I don't exactly know how they're getting it, but I look at featured snippet and I just think that these two things are just going to become one and the same. You know, I actually think that this is where the extent of it, I think people are making a big deal about it, but I think it's gonna be like, yeah, it's 5% of searches, guys. Like that's all it's showing up for, you know?
Yeah, I think the bigger deal though is that we don't know what Google's gonna do with ads as a result of them rolling out AI overviews. They're having their, what's it called, Google Marketing Live event this week, so we're gonna find out. But right now, we still have no idea. I've started to see the card format for ads, so maybe that's what they're gonna do, but we still don't know. Also talked about the thing where they can inject links on the page when you go there and then do an affiliate sort of thing. So that could be a play. But again, we don't know what the impact of any of this is going to be just yet.
I mean, one thing is for damn sure is that they're not going to get rid of these ads. What I've seen so far is that it's ads on top of the SGE. Just like traditional format.
I saw that 7 months ago and then didn't see it again.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good question. But one thing is for sure is that there's going to be ads somewhere. But it's interesting to see if they try and put it as cards in there, because isn't this kind of just service an ad then? Why don't you just advertise everything then if that's the case? Every result should be an ad then. If this is supposed to be the most democratic of responses, which is summarizing the internet, how would you also place an ad in there? If it's going to be interesting, I don't know. But I mean, one thing's for sure is that there's going to be ads.
But I feel since they're generating the copy, they could just generate an ad in there if they really wanted to.
They could, and then just, I guess, sell it to the highest bidder.
Yeah.
But then it just becomes the relevance of it though, too, because for example, if weight loss medication is one of it and you have, I don't know, it's going to be interesting. Tim said, it seems like this applies differently to things like healthy peanut butter than people searching for services, just like when you search for an attorney, or am I missing something in this AI overview? Yeah, I think that's fair. I also think that we're just the tip of the iceberg here. I think that Google will roll this out to more queries. But I also know that they were testing SGE, the previous version of this, for a long time, and it was a failure, man. It was just bad. It was just a bad product. Everything about it was bad. So this just might be the extent of it. We don't know. But Tim, my initial hunch is that it's going to be the equivalent of the answer box, which has been around for years, which is just essentially taking from one website and putting it there. It's probably gonna be for the same type of thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, you know, during the SGE test, there was a lot more queries that were triggering it. I think I saw it for weight loss medication at some point. I definitely saw it around services. So, you know, it's completely in fluctuation right now. They're probably gonna say queries are off limits. They've been saying YMYL queries would be, but then there were situations where you would see it for that. So I anticipate that what we're seeing isn't the final, and eventually it's going to creep into more queries.
Yeah. Mark Antoine asked, to your opinion, will the ranking criteria be impacted? Are we going to test the algorithm to understand how to adapt our SEO strategy?
Yeah, so we've already done that. Getting into the AI overview is not that difficult. Again, it's far more about relevance than, you know, links or anything like that. It seems AI overviews are a separate microservice that kind of don't use all the same signals. They just take everything that's most relevant to that query, but the query is not just like what you type in, because they expand the query in the background by adding synonyms, adding entities, things like that. And then they look at the best results, most relevant results in that expanded query. They feed 10 of them to the language model to then generate what the response is going to be. So it's just way easier to get in there just by making your content more relevant. There's also a paper called Generative Engine Optimization, which we took a look at and then turned into a process where you got to add quotes, you got to add citations, you got to add statistics, and those are all things that help you rank better in those AI overviews. But the first thing you got to do is identify which chunk or which passage in your copy is going to be the most relevant, and then optimize that accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting too to see. So the top three here are not the same as the top three actual SERP results
That happens very often.
So this here, this AI overview, are you saying that it's basically only summarizing the ones that are in here? Or is this just saying that's it? Okay.
Yep.
So do you have any idea or hypothesis about how it determines if this is a different algorithm than the traditional SERP? Because otherwise it would just list out the traditional SERPs underneath here. So is it a different algorithm than ranking here organically?
Yeah. So it's taking, 10 candidate pages out of everything that reviews, and then it looks specifically for the passage in that. So it could be a full paragraph, could be a sentence, whatever section of the copy, and then it feeds that. And if you click on one of these, it should take you to the scroll of text. Not on that one. Yeah, but it's going to have the scroll of text in it, and it's going to take you to the block that it used. So WikiHow specifically cuts that out, but go to another one of these results. So Healthline, now they're doing it too. Because what you can do is add the header where it automatically puts you at the top of the page. But go back to the SERP.
Yeah.
Let's try the XLS medical one. So yeah, you see in your URL, it's got the scroll of text. That's the copy that it used. It should be highlighted on the page. It should actually drop you right into it. But that's the text that was used to inform the AI snapshot.